I write 3 books every year. Honestly. How and why I do it, and why you also might want to try it as well, you will find out in today's episode. So let's get started. Welcome to the Understandable podcast. My name is Robert, and today we talk about writing. I'm not an author. I'm also not a publisher, neither an editor. I don't make any money from writing. Still, I write 3 books a year. And I'm talking about this thing here, my notebook. Well, some call it diary, others call it journal these days. I just call it what it is, writing. So wherever I go, this notebook, right, is with me. And when I was younger, I hated writing. I've never had a diary or something similar. I have found writing to be very helpful for my life later on, as well from a therapeutical context. Among others, the psychologist Bettina Löhr, who by the way was also once a guest on this podcast, I mentioned that before, as well as other therapists, recommended this exercise to me. So, if you're asking yourself now, why would you write? Why do I write, right? So, I write to unburden my head in a way. And some of you know this for sure, especially if you are someone who overthinks a lot. The brain produces thoughts on an assembly line, right? Some of them are, beneficial. Others may be kind of a handicap. Some I ignore, but some I adopt. So I write personally to reflect on things. And for me, it is a relief to write down these thoughts. In this way, I relieve the burden on my head. Behind a thought, there is always an emotion, and behind an emotion, there is always a need. And the reflection and classification of thoughts, of emotions, of needs, helps me a lot to keep a clear head, in a way. And of course, this approach also supports the need of control in a certain extent here. But I write for the sake of becoming aware of myself. And of course, I'm aware that this is not of infinite duration, but the brain is always able to fall back into the state of the unconscious. So writing regularly is like an exercise in ploughing up the garden of the unconscious every day and pulling out the weeds, right? So what I don't write down is, for example, what I don't do is like daily journaling exercises that you can find online in, for example, motivational videos or in self-help books, and this might surprise you now, but I don't like these kind of exercises. For example, like write down 3 things you are grateful for today, right? Write down 5 successes of the week. No, thank you, honestly. Not saying they cannot be helpful or beneficial, but I think they are better ways to become a more grateful person, for example. For example, like if I today feel extremely grateful for something, then I write it down. Why do I feel grateful? For what do I feel grateful? What has triggered this? And how does it feel like? Or today I had a success to celebrate, right? How does that feel? I just write down the things happening in the flow of life. And for example, today I had experienced a defeat, a loss, or something bad or difficult happened to me. How does that feel? I also put these emotions down and I try to show empathy and understanding towards myself here, instead of just writing things down where I could potentially feel gratitude for. Then I develop new solutions. And whether this strategy or another one is helpful or not is something everyone can decide for themselves, of course. Personally, this variant of daily writing helps me a lot because it suits me so well. And if you also journal on a daily basis here and ask yourself whether it makes sense to continue this, see whether it feels really coherent and brings you further, or whether it is rather just a kind of task that you do just to tick it off from your daily routines list. For example, I have tried meditating at least like 10, 15 times in my life. Also went on with it for weeks at a time, for a month. I took classes, I took online courses, I used apps, I tried it on my own without any other stimuli. And for me, meditation, for example, right, feels like just another task on my tick-off list. The process of writing, on the other hand, right, happens on its own for me without any compulsion. So, just look for the exercise to make a clear head for yourself that suits you best. And so, are you personally journaling every day, or do you write down your thoughts, emotions, needs, whatever? Maybe you also have a different strategy to reflect on things, to get in a more conscious state. Definitely, if you watch this on YouTube, let me know in the comments. And if you don't want to miss any upcoming episodes, definitely subscribe to the podcast here on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or on your favorite podcast app, or YouTube, of course. And if you want to leave me a message, definitely send me an email or follow me on Instagram. I see you in the next podcast episode. Have a great day.